Hello, everyone in Arcot land. Again, this is Casey from the Center for Self-Expression, the art gallery for the Arcot finishing up the second part for the mask making tutorial. So first step today, I'll go over really quick what we have here. Got your balloon with your mask, some scissors to pop the balloon and cut around the mask, a paintbrush so you can paint on the color that you chose. I chose some orange and some black, keeping it pretty simple for the jack-o'-lantern face. And that's pretty much it. So first step, oh yeah, also, I'm sorry, I have a paint stirrer to glue onto the mask because I'm not going to be wearing it with a string around the back. So you can poke holes in the back and tie a string, or you can glue a popsicle stick or a twig or a branch or something like that. So first step, we're going to pop our balloon. Hopefully it doesn't collapse the whole mask. Oh, it did not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and work around it and cut all of the mask so it's straight around the sides. So you'll see what I mean in a second once we cut this. Cut off the extra. Okay. So this comes out. And my mask is folding up a little bit because it's not the strongest mask. But yours might do that too, but that's okay. You can just, actually what I can do is cut the bottom off flat. Okay. And what happens is the balloon is stretching the inside of the mask out, so it's pulling it together. But actually it's not. You can get in there and pull that balloon out. That'll work a little bit. And that's what I was able to do. So I have this, so now I have this mask. So I'm going to cut off some of the extra parts. And that might change the shape of your mask a little bit, but that's okay. Because that's not going to affect too much. Just going to cut the extra parts off in there. And then just make sure it fits your face. So you hold it up. I wanted mine a little bit bigger so I can hold it up with a stick like this. So I'm going to leave it like that. There is a rip in mine because it ripped a little bit when I popped it, but that's okay. No big deal. It just gives it character. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take our paintbrush that's in the water, dry off the brush a little bit, and then we're going to paint our mask orange. Okay? So, and I don't think there's a wrong color for this. If you want your jack-o'-lantern to be green, then so be it. You're the one who's making the mask, it's for you. So if you want it to be a certain color, go for it. I'm not gonna persuade you any other way. I'm gonna paint this. Okay. Sometimes the mask might roll around on you, that's okay. I'm deciding to hold it this way so it's easier to paint. So I'm gonna paint this like that. If you need to mix your own paint for orange, you might need to use a little red and yellow and mix it together. The more dark you would want it, you'd use more red. The more light you'd want it, you'd use more yellow. And if you wanted to lighten it up, you can always add white, which will always help it cover the mask. So, like that. And the other thing I'll be using today, which I didn't think about earlier, was to have a hair dryer ready so that I can actually dry this off and move quicker through the video so that I don't have to have you guys wait for 20 minutes while it's drying. That would be kind of silly. So. Anything. So time for another joke. My only other joke for today. It is, what do Sasquatch say when they go trick-or-treating? Trick or feet? It might be funny to you, might not be. It's kind of not that funny, but I thought I'd tell it anyways. We're just going to keep on painting this orange. Trying to cover every little bit you can. And if you have a piece that ripped from taking the mask off of the balloon, that's fine. You can put some glue in it later if you want, or you can you can glue another piece of paper on it to strengthen it. No big deal. Whatever works for you should be fine. So we're just painting this orange now, as you can see. And if you're someone who doesn't want to get their clothes dirty, you might want to get an apron or a smock or something if there's one available where you are. You might want to wear a shirt that doesn't have a lot of value to you if you're painting, because you might get a little paint on it. But really, it's just up to you, however you want to do it. Once we get to the end of this orange color, which we're almost there, we're going to take the hairdryer and dry it off. So I'll encourage you to mute your volume while I do that, and I'll let you know again before I do that. That way you don't have to get blasted in the ears with hair drying sounds. I got that plugged in right over here, so that's all ready. And I think for our jack-o'-lantern today, we're just going to do a couple triangle eyes, and we will do a mouth, but we're not going to cut it out. So we'll paint the mouth on, but we will cut the eyes out. And you could use a razor blade for that. I was going to use a razor blade, but I think I'll probably just use my scissors because I have them here. Or I might just go grab the razor blade if I have to. So, finishing off the last bit of this paint here. The orange, covering up the last little pieces here. Make sure you get every little spot you can. So that's pretty orange, right? And my shape of my mask isn't the best shape in the world, but it will work. See? You put it up to your face, it should somewhat fit around your head. So that's why I might have made mine a little bigger than someone else's, because I knew my head was pretty large, so I decided to make it a little extra big. Okay, so now that we're finishing up the paint here, we're going to switch over to the hairdryer. So you might want to mute your machine in a second once you see me grab that hairdryer or bend over, and then we will be making some noise. If you don't like that, I would encourage you to turn your machine onto mute for right now. Okay, so I'm brushing the water, put the mask down here, and gonna hair dry now. So mute your machine so you don't have to hear it. Once you got that pretty tacky and dry, once it's pretty tacky, it should be okay. So, I would say if I was going to do this again, I would probably make my mask 4 to 6 layers thick, because it seems to be pretty thin right now. But that's okay. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our paintbrush, dry it off. It's always good to have a piece of cardboard or paper or something so you can dry your brush off really good before you mix your paint or paint your paints again. That way you're not losing any color or getting other colors in there that you don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint our mouth on. I'll show you how to do that. So hold this right here. What I'll do is I'll paint it on and then I'll show you. So it's going to be kind of hard to do it and show you at the same time. So I'll make the shapes. It's going to be a normal kind of jack-o'-lantern mouth, so it's nothing too crazy. It's going to look like it has sharp teeth on the top and a smile on the bottom. So it'll be rounded off on the bottom like this. Okay. So it's going to be something like that shaped. Okay. So it'll look like teeth on the top and a smile on the bottom. So paint that, fill that in. You see as we fill it in, it's starting to look a little bit more like a jack-o'-lantern. And you don't have to make it perfect. It's up to you how you want to make it. If you're a perfectionist, then you might want to make it more perfect than someone who isn't as much of a perfectionist. But often what I see myself doing is working with symmetry. So if I think something is off on balance, that really bothers me. So I wouldn't call myself a perfectionist, but I would say I'm slightly picky about the way things are symmetrical. But that doesn't mean I'm not okay with it being off sometimes. Sometimes that extra off-kilter part actually is what gives it the character that we wouldn't necessarily think. So, and that's not a cop-out. Character is important. So, for art especially, character is very important. So, it makes you remember the piece. So you want to make it something that someone will remember. Therefore, you want to have some character in it usually. So there's the mouth. Okay. And then we're going to put two eyes up at the top, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and cut them out. So they're not really going to be showing. So what we'll do is we'll dry it with a hair dryer, and then I'll cut them out with the scissors. Hopefully my mask can handle me cutting them out, because it might actually just rip if I do it too hard. So the eyes will be somewhat triangular like this, okay? And then we're gonna paint a little triangular nose in the middle, and that will stay. That's just gonna stay. That's not gonna be cut out or anything. So that'll just stay as a triangle in the middle. Okay? And if your paint isn't dry enough, you might actually have your black mixing with the orange. But mine is dry enough, so now I'm done with that. So now what I'm gonna do is dry it off again. So mute your machine again for a second. Okay. All right. Now that is painted, we can go ahead and cut the eyes out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these scissors and just poke them through a little bit. Sometimes you wiggle the first one in, and it makes it a little easier. And once you get the first cut in, it's not that bad. You just cut the other way. And then once I get it all cut to the way I want it to, then I can go cut the other one. So I think that's pretty good. I think I'm just going to cut a little farther out of this one. So sometimes it's easier to, everyone has their own ways of cutting things. So I wanted to leave a little bit black around the eye here, so you can see a little black around the eye, because I think it's important to have that little darkness around the eye. It makes it a little scarier if you want it to be scarier. If you don't want it to be scary, whatever works. Does not have to be a scary mask. This is just what I was choosing to make. So, and then I'm going to cut this one down here. A little there. All right, so that's the first eye, as you can see. And that'll be big enough to look through. So then you can take the other triangle over here. And you stick your scissors through. Scissors should be sharp enough to get through it. If not, you can use someone to poke through it. It shouldn't need too much. It shouldn't need too much muscle because these are still pretty thin. Even if you got 6 layers, they're not that bad. So cut that way. And everyone has their own system of ways of cutting things. So if you have a way that works for you, you do that. I encourage you to do what you're comfortable with, because that's how people work with us. It's how doing what they're comfortable with. So there's my other eye. Okay. So if I was to glue this to the thing, yep, it's going to fit pretty good. Okay. It's going to be a little big, which I wanted. That's why I wanted to make it wide. So the next step now, as you see, we got our nose, our mouth, our 2 eyes. So now what we're going to do is take this paint stick and glue it to the inside of this. Now I have a decent amount of extra stick here, so I'm going to probably put a couple spaces on here where I can glue it to a couple different pieces. That way it's a little stronger than I assumed, than I thought it would be. So I have a glue gun down here heating up. If you can't see that, just so you know, nothing magical down here, just some hot glue. What I'll do is take that glue gun. I'm going to put a couple pieces right in here. Okay. You don't need a lot. You really don't need much. Sometimes less, especially with glue, less is more. So don't overdo it if you don't have to, because especially with materials and expensive materials and what's going on these days with the virus and stuff, saving money is a good thing. So you can make it a little cheaper for yourself, then so be it. That makes it a little better for everyone probably, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. So there we go, there's the mask. Right, like that. Okay, oh, and I got a piece stuck to the front now. When I glued it, it got stuck to the front. So I'm just gonna take that and I'm just gonna paint over that real quick. I did not think that was gonna happen. See what happens? So I'm just gonna take my brush, go over this black again. So you can't see that. So you gotta be ready for things to go a different way than you want it when you're doing this kind of stuff, because things happen that you don't plan for all the time. So there you go. There it is, jack-o'-lantern mask. Okay? All right, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Have a good Halloween.